Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Today I want to address the Yo Mama Black shaming tactic. Yeah, I was checking out a few videos and it was it was a sister and she was going in on a brother who, surprise surprise, was criticizing black women. And one of the things, I didn't really sit through the whole video because after a while, you know the script. But one of the first things she said was, "Your mama black." Now, I wanted to address that shaming tactic because one is very weak. It's extremely weak. It's like, I would like to ask sisters who actually use that shaming tactic, has it ever worked? Seriously, I mean, why bother with it? But I want to address why it's kind of is really stupid. Now, first of all, any shaming tactic used by black women against black men is used not to actually address any argument or actual concern that a black man might have. It's actually used to, well, it's two instances it's used. The main instance is to keep the black man from saying anything critical about black women. The biggest issue with that is the tactic doesn't actually address the actual issue. Now, for the women who use that tactic, or even some men who might use that tactic against other men, the thing is, it really does not address the issue. Okay, all right, well, you established that the man's is descended from a black woman. Oh, okay. All right. Does that address the issue that the man was talking about? No. And just on another practical level, women have to understand just saying that's the last thing a black woman should really say to a black man, and that for racial solidarity reasons. In many cases, the problem that a black man has with the majority of black women that he encounters is that these women do not measure up to his mother. That's the real issue. Because I've talked with many a brother who had very critical things to say about black women in general. But when you listen to them, these same men put their mothers up on pedestals. Their mothers or aunties, grandmothers, whoever raised them, up on pedestals. And their question is usually, how come the rest of these women do not act like my mother? Because in many cases, in most cases, black women, even if they have issues with the baby daddies and all of that, are usually very supportive of their sons. Even to some degrees, it can be detrimental, but they're still supportive of their sons. For many men, the only woman to support them in life has been their mother. Let me say that again. For many black men, the only woman to support them in life has been their mother. So when a woman comes and says to try to silence a brother who's being critical, it says, "Well, your mama black." Um, all that does is add fuel to his criticism because he's looking at the women. It's like, well, you know what? My mother supported me when no one else did. She didn't call me a lame. She encouraged me. She worked two jobs so I could get through school. And you're not doing the same thing. And that actually brings me to a second thing that the Yo Mama Black shaming tactic is used for, and that's black men who marry interracially. Because what do a sister say, especially if it's a celebrity or some rich brother? They'll say, well, how can he marry a white woman? His mama black. Well, here's the thing. Only issue concerned there is if a man has a come up, he's making money, and his mother's black. The only issue there is whether or not he supports his mother. In most of these cases, well, no, in 100% of the cases where the black man has a positive relationship with his mother and he has some type of come up, he finally makes it rich, he signs that $1 million contract or something. What's the first thing that brother do? He buys his mother some type of home. They'll go on national TV and they like, hi, mom. Shoot, they'll hook her up. But see, the real thing with that shaming tactic is sisters feel like, hey, they should benefit. Well, no, the black woman, actually, a black woman does benefit, just not them. See, that's the whole thing with it. They say, their whole argument is, well, he got that money, it should go to black women. No, it's actually going to a black woman. It's going to the black woman in his family. So it's a stupid tactic to use. And I'm gonna even get deeper with this, right? Often, let's just be real. And I did a video on how sometimes the worst enemy to a black woman is another black woman. Often, a lot of negative comments and a lot of negative thoughts about black women don't always originate with the black man. A lot of times, it's coming from another black woman. And that black woman, she sees what's up and she's like, well, you know what? I don't want these little heifers messing with my son. Like, mother is like, a serious black mother is going to be protective. And trust me, I've known plenty of black mothers who say, I can't have my boy mess with these little skanks out here. Shoot. I remember personally, I'll share something personally with me. Coming up, the hardest person on black women with regard to me was my grandmother. I mean, she was straight up called. She was straight out. Any flaws any black girl had that came around me, she would find. And as I said in another video, that's because she didn't want me bringing home some baby before I was ready. And she knew the game. And she wasn't one of those women who mince words. And if it got to a point, she had to either A, curse out some little girl, or B, slit her throat. It wouldn't bother her to do so. And there's a lot of black women like that when it comes to their sons. So saying your mama black, it was like, no, sister, don't bring that one up. Because in the majority of cases, you do not compare to his mother. And he's taking care, he's doing what he's supposed to do. And if, for those who worry about the brothers marrying interracially, which is really more like the brother spending that money, on a non-black woman, understand one black woman at least is getting her cut. And that's going to be her mom. And, and just shaming tactics in general. You can't win with them. You can't silence a brother because, like I said, has it actually worked? Think about it. Has any brother you try to shame him? Has it actually worked? And not even just the yo mama black thing. Well, a lot of sisters try to shame a brother on some other stuff. They might say, well, you know what? He's ugly, or he's short, or he got a little dick. Has that shit actually worked? And, that's like, to me, if someone has to resort to a shaming tactic, that means they don't have an argument. They don't have a counter argument. So it's like when you get to that point, that means you've lost. If you can't, no matter what, now see, a sister who has a legitimate argument, she don't have to bring a man's physicality into it. She don't have to bring his mama into it. She can go point for point for whatever dude said. But that's an act of desperation when the woman has to say, well, I'm going to stop him. I'm going to tell him his mama black. Well, he already knows it anyway. And trust me, when he's saying black women, he ain't saying her. And like I said, on a deep level, a lot of these black mothers don't, for their sons, and I know I peeped one thing with some of the sisters who contacted me privately. They got sons. So they got a different perspective. They like, hold up, wait a minute. In fact, I'm gonna hit you with something deep. With my book Nice Guys and Players, I've had a lot of mothers buy the books for their sons. So, you don't want to go there. And I'm gonna tell you what, any woman who's been married or been in a long term relationship can attest to this or probably experienced this at least one time. Usually the greatest enemy to her having a successful relationship with that son is the mother. Because I've heard some horror stories from some sisters dealing with their mother-in-laws or the mothers of their boyfriends. And I'm gonna tell you what, it's deep to the point where if a mother doesn't like his son's girlfriend or wife, he can bring his side piece over to his mother's house, and she'll cover for him because she does not like the daughter-in-law. So you really, really lose that shaming tactic. It doesn't work. The mamas don't like you anyway. A brother gonna support his mother even if he hate every single black woman on the planet. He loves his mother because he is not transferring. He's not transferring, and because of that love, he's wondering how come y'all not acting the same way. So anyway, I don't need to get too long on that point. I'll hit y'all up with something again tomorrow. Peace.